Hey guys, Lou here. Today, I'm going to show you. I'm using Windows 2 for the first time. For those of you that don't know anything about Windows 2, it is a 16-bit Microsoft Windows operating environment released on December 9th, 1987. It was a Wednesday, and the successor to Windows 1, which was released on November 20th, 1985, which was also a Wednesday. I already did a video on Windows 1, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave that links in the description below. But for now, let's start up Windows 2. Okay, so now we're in Windows 2.0. Let's do about Microsoft Windows MS-DOS Executive version 2.03, copyright 1987 Microsoft Corporation. Okay, let's check out the calculator. It's the really old calculator. But in Windows 1, it had that reddish background, if I'm not mistaken. But Windows 2 has no background at all. There are some things that might surprise you about Windows 1 and Windows 2. So you could not set a desktop background for the home screen. You could not set a desktop background. You check out this calendar. It's really old calendar. It has this blue background. Yet today is Saturday, April 4th, 2020, and it is 4:18 p.m. This operating system was released 17 and a half years before I was born, and two years after Windows 1 was released. And this was released 27 and a half years before Windows 10 was released. It was released 7.5 years before Windows 95. It was released 10.5 years before Windows 98. It was released 12.5 years before Windows ME. And it was released 12 and a quarter years before Windows 2000. It was released 13.5 years before Windows XP. Uh, 19 years before Windows Vista. Uh, 21.5 years before Windows 7. 24 and a half years before Windows 8, 29 and a half, no, 25 and a half years before Windows 8.1, and and that's about all. And I believe that's all. Let's do a notepad. We gotta type in something. So let me type in using Windows 2 for the first time. Not a valid file name. What? So they expect you to. Back then, they expected you to name it, to save the file name as something else. But I don't remember the exact name name to save it as. But they expect you to save the file name as C colon backslash Windows. That was Windows 1 and Windows 2. Let's look at the clock. It's the same clock as Windows 1 I reviewed back in January. Let's look at this paint again. Very similar to Windows 1. There's really no there's but overall it's very sim. The the calculator and the calendar are a little bit different, but overall there's not really a difference between this and Windows 1 I reviewed back in January. Come on, you got this. Oh, so now it was able to. It was I wrote in pencil, but whatever. No, there are some things that might. There are other things that might surprise you about Windows 1 and Windows 2. There was no Windows Luna or Windows Aero or even Windows Classic. They added Windows Classic in Windows since Windows 95, which was released in 1995. Um, there was no Start menu. There was no Windows Media Player or Windows Media Center. There was no Microsoft Edge. There was no Internet Explorer. There was no mail application. There was no App Store. There was no Microsoft Store back then. Mm. There was no taskbar. The Notepad application could not save the file as what you wanted it to be. It did not have a start menu. And in order to shut down the machine, you had to do it manually. So the files that are on, so the programs that are on the operating system were all you got. And back then, until Microsoft upgraded the software, and you could not even set a password for your user account. There was no user account control, or UAC for short. There was no Cortana. Cortana didn't even exist back then. There was no wireless network connectivity. There were no sample pictures, sample videos, or sample music either. There was no flat design. There was no slideshow, and that I think that's about it. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like to let me know, and I will see you again in my next video. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.